Hi, I'm Caley and welcome to Kapowski Reads, and this is my July wrap up. I am filming this a little bit earlier in the month than I normally would because I have some plans coming up and I just didn't think I would have time. So I'm going to add my total for books read and pages read right here. Yay! I'm also going to add a graphic for my genres that I have read the most of. Most read genres even. And at the time where I'm filming this, my most read genres were, I believe, fantasy and mystery. And I'm feeling pretty good about that because those are my two favourite genres. I have had unless anything terrible happens in the last week of July, I feel very confident saying that I have had a really good month of reading. Once again, I have read so many excellent books. So I'm going to talk about my favourite reads of the month. I have had 5 books that I would say were standout reads for July. I have already spoken about 3 of them. So for those 3, I will pop a link in the description to the vlog in which they get more of a review. So I'll just be speedy with those 3. As always, I would love to know what you've been reading this month and your favourite read of July. I will share mine once I've told you what my favourite books were. So let's just get started. The books I have loved this month were A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I am a huge fan of Dracula, and this book, being told from the point of view of Dracula's bride, I was 100% in and I was not disappointed. It was a super quick and fast-paced read and I absolutely loved everything about it. It was gothic, it was creepy, and it had found family elements. These are all things I enjoy in a book. I loved it. What Happened in Dubai by Sophie Gravia. This is the sequel to A Glasgow Kiss, but I feel very strongly that it could be read as a standalone. I loved A Glasgow Kiss, so I was very excited to get my grubby little mitts onto an advanced copy of this book, and I loved it. It basically just tells the story of Zara, who is 30 years old, dealing with heartbreak by going on some very interesting dating experiences and going away to Dubai on holiday. Not really holiday, she's going there for work, but she does have time to get herself into many hilarious situations. This book just made me howl with laughter. I also read and loved Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This is once again a book that I bought ages ago. Did I read it at the time? No, but I wanted to, and now I have read it and I'm so angry at me of the past for not reading it at the time because it was amazing. This is told in dual narrative, which is one of the things I love in a book, and it is about a married couple, one of whom has returned from being under the sea on an ocean exploration voyage in a submarine and has come back not quite right. And her wife is trying to cope with this and support her wife, but also trying to find out what on earth happened in that submarine. And there's just a slow, almost like a pass the parcel style of peeling off all of the layers to find out what happened. And this was another book that was just so kind of creepy and very claustrophobic. It was full of so many unexpected moments and I could not have predicted anything that happened in this book. I'm still gagging on the ending of this book, so this is one that has stuck with me. I absolutely loved this and so many of my friends have read this too, so I think it's quite popular, but I don't know, maybe I just live in my little bubble. But I loved it and people that I care about loved it too. The writing of this book was absolutely exquisite. It was just such a beautifully written book, and I really appreciate when I get a book and it's not just well written, but it's written in such a sort of pleasing way. I feel like if I was to read this book out loud, it would flow really well. It does make me wonder if the audiobook might be worth a listen. So maybe when I reread this one day, I might try it with the audiobook because it can only be excellent. The next book that I loved was Fangs by Sarah Andersen, who I found out about this book because I follow Sarah Scribbles on Instagram, and it's a graphic novel. And I cannot tell you the last time I read a graphic novel. I can tell you that the last graphic novel I read was either Lumberjanes or Nimona, but I cannot tell you how many years ago that was. So I was really excited to pick this up. My mum bought me this for my birthday and I absolutely loved it. It was such a quick read. It's only teeny tiny with sprayed edges, but it's about 100 pages and it, like I said, is a graphic novel. So it's super quick to get through, but it's also just a lovely, charming story about the romance between a vampire and a werewolf. And it was so funny and the drawings are just so beautiful. I really enjoyed the artwork in this book. And I thought the romance was just so sweet. And I absolutely loved this. I was already a fan of the artist, so I'm super excited to see if they have anything else that's out. I haven't looked, which is unusual for me. I normally would have looked. But I will keep my eyes open for anything else by Sarah because I thought this was charming and adorable and heartwarming. And isn't that what I want from a book? Yes, I want my heart to be warmed. And the last book that I read and loved in July was Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Malinda Lowe. I borrowed this from my friend, so I am very happy to be able to return this to them as soon as I can. This tells the story of Lily, who's 17 and falls in love with her friend Kath. It's set during the 1950s in San Francisco, and basically their entire relationship is all surrounding a lesbian bar called the Telegraph Club. And I loved this book so much. It jumped around a little bit through time, not in a futuristic sort of way, just in a providing a backstory and explanation kind of way, which is something that I really do enjoy in a book. I absolutely loved Lily, and I hated her friends apart from Kath. I liked Kath, but the rest of her friends were just so bossy and pushy, and I feel like that probably just showed a little bit about Lily's character because she was quite just wanted an easy life, so she would always go along with what her friends had wanted her to do. And then after becoming friends with Kath, she started to sort of stand up for herself a bit more, which her previous friends did not enjoy. And I loved that character growth that I saw from her. And I feel like the story, the romance between Kath and Lily was it was just very sweet and just heartwarming and just such a gentle romance. You could really, like, I feel like I was there watching them fall in love, and it was beautiful and my heart was warmed. And I was so worried throughout the entire book because 1950s, you know, it wasn't going to end. I wanted a really nice story for them, but in the time that this book took place, I knew that it wasn't going to have the beautiful happy ending that I wanted. And sometimes that's okay. I will still enjoy a book that doesn't end in the lovely happy way that I want it to end, but I do feel the ending of this was ambiguously glorious. I apologise, my voice seems to be disappearing, so I'm a bit croaky and I don't know why. As well as describing what life was like for two young lesbians in the 1950s, this book also covered quite a few other topics that I haven't read much about, such as fear of deportation, which was something that Lily's father was facing, and fear of communism as well. That's something that I probably have read other books that do have communism and deportation as plot drivers, but I cannot think of any that have handled it as well as this book. This is a book that I feel is going to really stick with me, and I've borrowed it from a friend, so I'm going to have to now buy a copy of my own, and I think I'm going to want to read it over and over again. I just thought it was just such a beautifully told story about coming to terms with your sexuality and the hurdles that people have and continue to face. I absolutely loved this book, and this was my book recommendation of the month for July. I loved it. So thank you to my lovely friend for loaning this to me. I will get it back to you, promise. For August, I am doing my TBR a little bit differently because I am joining in with the summer mixtape readathon. If you're following me, you have probably heard of this already. So I am going to be attempting to finish off any of my outstanding summary books on my TBR and try and make them fit into the theme and tick off those bingo boxes, because it seems like I really enjoy doing that with the TBR. I will pop a link in the description for anybody who isn't aware of the summer mixtape readathon, and you can watch the launch videos there if that's something that you are interested in. I am toying with the idea of vlogging my experience with it, but part of me thinks that that is just so that I can talk about how much I love Grease 2 as a summer film, because I love Grease 2, and I think by watching that I would tick a box. So I think that might be why I'm very, very excited about this. I would love to know what your favourite book was of July, and if you've got any reading plans for August. I'm gonna have to go and get a strepsil or some sort of hot drink because my voice is going. Thank you for watching. Bye!